And this is a huge departure from how it is now. It's not really enjoyable to make music now. People enjoy
Why did you say
Suno.
that?
It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. You need to get really good at an instrument or really good at a piece of production software. I think the majority of people don't enjoy the majority of the time they spend making music.
So that was Suno's CEO, Mikey Shulman, on a recent podcast. He doesn't care about musicians, he just openly stated he hates making music and he doesn't understand why anyone does it. And in a recent podcast, he showed a lot of his true colours. This guy runs a music company with a valuation of $500 million, by the way, and he doesn't understand why people make music. Does that sound like the kind of person who should be anywhere near the music industry to you? Anyway, let's quickly run through what his company actually does and then take a more detailed look into why this guy is arguably one of the most evil people to ever venture into the music industry. If you want to skip straight to the interview section, there's a timestamp here and chapters in the description. By now, I'm sure you've probably at least heard of Suno, but if you haven't, it's an AI service that can generate music. It does this by copying existing work and just churning out a sort of bland, derivative copy of what's already out there. For legal reasons, all of this bit comes with a great big allegedly at the start, by the way. A few of the big major labels have filed lawsuits against Suno and also Udio, which basically does the same thing, on the grounds of allegedly training their models on music recordings owned by these labels. Suno has already openly stated that their training data includes, quote, essentially all music files of reasonable quality that are accessible on the open internet, with the caveat being stuff hidden behind paywalls, passwords, and that sort of thing. So what that means is, if you've made a meme song as a joke and put it on SoundCloud, Suno and Udio have probably actually absorbed that into their training data. I mean, it's crazy the scale at which they're, well, in my opinion, stealing music. The reason that they're happy to admit this, which was already obvious since AI relies on stealing from human work, is because they believe stealing a musician's life's work falls under a fair use exemption in US copyright law. Now, of course, pretty much everyone with a voice in the music industry immediately dropped a response diss track with the RIAA, who represent the big labels in the music industry like Sony, Warner, and Universal, making the most noteworthy reply. I mean, this makes sense since they are the ones who are doing the lawsuit. Their industrial scale infringement does not qualify as fair use. There's nothing fair about stealing an artist's life's work, extracting its core value and repackaging it to compete directly with the originals, and I have to completely agree on them. It's a fight for the lesser of two evils here. Both of these industry titans represent major players in the creative world who are fighting to extract as much value as possible out of the creativity and work of real musicians, but as someone who relies solely on music royalties to pay their bills, I find Suno's justifications of blatantly ripping off people's work and then actually allowing that to be used as competition for the original musicians, it's highly concerning. And it's not just the Weeknds and Taylor Swifts of this world that they're ripping off, as there have been several clearly documented cases where Suno has spat out near carbon copies of already existing songs in the past. Suno sucks major balls and I hate it, but it's not because the output of their models are inherently bad. As much as I'd like to say, the songs that this thing puts out, they're just completely crap and unlistenable. Unfortunately, they actually aren't that terrible in a lot of cases. It's pretty listenable, and although I don't know why anyone would choose to listen to anything intentionally that's AI generated over something that's human made, it's getting to the point where it's quite hard to distinguish. So it would be easy for someone to generate tens of thousands of songs, bang them out all on Spotify, and a lot of listeners wouldn't necessarily be able to tell whether they're actually supporting a human artist or not, or listening to a human. It's actually quite concerning how good it's getting. What I find more concerning than Suno and the quality of the music it's making is the mentality of their CEO, Big Mikey Shulman, and what he's been saying in this recent podcast. So let's get onto that now. It's only got 6,000 views at the moment, which I think is lucky for Mikey, because if more people heard some of the appalling takes on music he spews out in this hour-long car wreck of an interview, then he'd be in a lot more hot water than he already is. So without further ado, let's take a look into some of the most psychopathic, disgraceful things that this tech bro said within the confines of a single hour. So the biggest one, which I showed a snippet from earlier, is his downright incorrect opinion that nobody enjoys making music anymore because it's hard.
And this is a huge departure from how it is now. It's not really enjoyable to make music now. People enjoy
Why did you say
Suno.
that?
It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. You need to get really good at an instrument or really good at a piece of production software. I think the majority of people don't enjoy the majority of the time they spend making music.
Do you not think that's like running? It is hard to run. It is painful to run. You don't particularly enjoy it, but you love running. And you get good at it, and you get better at it, and you speak to the runners, and they love running.
Most people drop out of that pursuit.
I mean, what kind of logic is that? People enjoy making music often because it's hard. The satisfaction comes from improving and the ability to create a completely original piece of work at the end, which wouldn't otherwise exist without a combination of your skill and creativity. If no one enjoys making music, why does FL Studio have tens of millions of downloads? And why do approximately 700 million people play the guitar, according to Fender? Why do people dedicate their lives to making music, me included? I gave up a career in a field pretty adjacent to yours, Mikey, in software development, and went into music instead. Why? Because I find it more enjoyable than IT. The idea that making music is not enjoyable and no one enjoys making music is just... And that's not just for people who make music as a job. What about the hundreds of millions of people who are in bands as a hobby, or join choirs for fun, or join orchestras and they're not getting paid for it, or people who are actively learning instruments, or people who just want a way to express themselves? The idea that none of these people are enjoying what they're doing is just insane. I mean, God, man, of course the CEO of a $500 million music company had to be this tech bro with literally no understanding of the innate humanness of music and why originality and imperfection and the satisfaction of getting good at something and having actual creative control over every detail of a piece of work is what makes music enjoyable. I mean, let's translate this absolutely take into a different field. Pretend I'm Mikey for a second, but Suno does something instead of music, okay? It's not really enjoyable to play football now. People enjoy Suno. Why do you say that? Well, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. You need to get really good at it. And I think a majority of people don't enjoy the majority of the time they spend playing football. I mean, how does that sound? It's ridiculous. Now, to credit the host to an extent, Harry Stebbings, I'm guessing he's some venture capital guy, I don't know, one of those type beats. It seems like he interviews a lot of CEOs, so I'm guessing he's in that sort of space. To credit that guy, he does actually make a similar point, and he's completely right. Running is another great example. People enjoy running even though it's hard. You don't want AI to run for you, you don't get a car for the same reason that you run. Yes, a car is arguably a better mode of transportation, but it's not about getting from A to B. It's about the actual process, and that is what Mikey doesn't seem to understand about music. He just doesn't get it. He also says most people drop out of that pursuit as a response to the argument that running is difficult, but people enjoy it partly because it's difficult. It's well, yeah, most people drop out of it because it's hard. But that's why it's impressive when Eliud Kipchoge, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, he managed to run a marathon in under 2 hours. As humans, we innately appreciate and look up to hard work and skill and talent. And also creativity. And none of those things come from banging out music on Suno. 99.99% of runners won't ever come close to a sub 2 hour marathon. But does that mean it's unenjoyable to run? The idea that difficult means not fun or easy means fun is just such a dumb take, man. As another example, I really enjoy climbing. I've done it for years, but I'm not good at it, and it's hard. If Mikey ran a climbing gym, he would just say, I don't think people find climbing enjoyable. And just replace all of the boulders with stairs, or even better, he'd just put an escalator in and be like, well, now climbing's enjoyable because everyone can do it. Because most people before this, they were dropping out of that hobby because they found climbing hard. So I've just replaced it with an escalator. Now everyone can do it. I've democratized climbing. There you go. Because that way, everyone gets to enjoy the experience of climbing without it being difficult. It's brilliant. It's such a dumb take, and there's a million other arguments I could make to emphasize just how dumb this opinion is. And this is what I especially hate about the modern tech bro ideology that all of these CEOs seem to aspire to. There's this baffling idea they have that no one actually enjoys doing anything, and that anything and everything should be turned into this automated, more convenient service that allows everyone to do everything. No one enjoys food shopping, so let's make a site where people can get food delivered. I mean, that's fair, that's not too bad. But wait, no one enjoys having to even think about what to cook, so let's invent HelloFresh. Okay, still reasonable. But wait, no one enjoys cooking full stop, so let's invent Factor. Well, that's good for people who don't want to cook, I guess. But wait, no one enjoys eating. So let's just invent Huel so you can drink nutritional slop, so you don't even need to think about eating. But wait, no one even enjoys the biological process of digestion. So why don't we just skip out the whole idea that you even have to eat and just invent a way for humans to live off photosynthesis? But wait, that means you need to go outside and touch grass, which no one enjoys because it's difficult. Let's just extract people's brains and put them in a jar so that they can live eternally as long as they pay their monthly subscription. There's no end to this rationale, and whilst the anti-human tech bro philosophy continues to rake in billions of dollars in VC funding, there's always going to be another enjoyable thing for tech companies to try and remove from human existence. Anyway, let's take a look at some other ridiculous things Mikey said in the interview.
So in that sense, I want to make music more like a video game. Nobody half plays video games the same way people kind of put on music in the background and half pay attention to it. And then the other way is, I think if you accomplish all those things and if you make music interactive and you make music engaging, people will pay for it like they pay for video games. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you that the video game industry is so much bigger than the music industry and most other industries. And it's because people have no problem parting with their hard-earned money to experience those things. And to me, it seems like just crazy that music should not be as engaging as Fortnite.
I agree with you, people.
To me, it's crazy that music should not be as engaging as Fortnite. Oh my god. In what world is typing a prompt and getting out like this generic derivative song engaging? I think by definition, since it's physically the least involved way possible to make music, that would inherently make Suno the least engaging way to make music. Or perhaps he means listening to music and consuming it. Well, again, I think engagement in music comes from the enjoyment and appreciation of being able to experience a piece of music carefully constructed by a person or people to meet their exact vision. It might be the deep lyrics or the beautiful instrumentation or even just a catchy melody or a brilliant mix which sounds amazing on your headphones or, even just a super bass boosted loud master that makes your jaw snap off when you're at a rave. I don't think it's about a song being tailor-made to a specific person like Mikey seems to think to some extent. I've never thought to myself, damn, I really like listening to Steely Dan, but I wish their songs were way shitter and they sang about my cat instead. That would be way more engaging. We enjoy listening to music because we appreciate listening to art other people have put time and thought into making. This whole commodification of music, this idea that it's just this like substance and we can just consume it and it doesn't matter where it's come from or to an extent how it's made. None of that plays any relevance. You just get music and just put it in your ears and then it just engages you. Like it's just this, it's such a Silicon Valley take. And I wish they just didn't get involved in art at all, but we're in 2025. Tech bros are taking over everything that anyone enjoys and ruining it, so just one of those things. Also, part of Fortnite being highly engaging, apart from the skibbity toilet skin flooding your brain with maximum dopamine, and the bright colours, obviously, I love bright colours, it's so good, and green and blue and Ice Spice. Travis Scott, Fortnite. Anyway, irrespective of that, there is an undeniable fact that to be good at Fortnite and to be like really engaged with it, it does still take a lot of skill and effort to get good at it. I think whether you like Fortnite or despise it, being able to actually game end more than a couple of people in a round is arguably pretty hard, and I think a lot of the engagement and satisfaction comes from the fact that it does actually take quite a bit of effort and skill to be good at it. It wouldn't be impressive if everyone I mean, imagine if Fortnite was like everyone's a winner. There's 100 people join and you all just win. That's basically what he would do. If Mikey Shulman was the CEO of Epic Games and he was making Fortnite or League or something, he would just make it so that you just immediately win. Because no one enjoys the process of playing Fortnite, and no one enjoys the difficult process of getting really good at Valorant or something. It's just, it makes no sense. I do not understand the logic. I would argue that Fortnite would be far less engaging if it was incredibly easy. I mean, if Suno was in the games industry, it would just play Fortnite for you and win every round, because it's not really enjoyable to play Fortnite now.
I hope that Spotify wins that, because it would mean that people are finding music more engaging. Like, YouTube is more engaging than Spotify as measured by the amount of, the ARPU for ads, for example, right?
Why do you think that is?
YouTube is more engaging than Spotify. Again, this guy is so obsessed with like the metrics and the numbers and this idea. He just loves engagement. I mean, engagement is the most important thing. Guys, leave a comment down below. Make sure you subscribe, turn the bell icon on. By the way, maybe while you're watching this, just make sure you're playing a game as well. Maybe like have a song in the background. That would be like really engaging. Maybe you could drink a Red Bull at the same time. Like, just maximize your engagement. You need as much dopamine as possible. Listening to music, that's only in your ears. You need stuff coming in your eyes. You need stuff coming in your mouth. You need stuff coming in your nose. You need all of your senses to just be fucking overridden. You just need maximum engagement. You're not engaged. Spotify is not engaging. It just goes in your fucking ears. You need it in your eyes as well, man. I wonder what Michael Jackson's Thriller tastes like. It would probably be really engaging, like more engaging than just enjoying the music part of the music. I wish I could feel Poo Bum by Poopy Man. That song would be so much more engaging if I could just feel it. There are so many more absolutely wild takes this guy just throws out for the entire hour. But I think I'm going to have to end it here because I'm just getting absolutely enraged. Part 2 will be coming out as soon as possible. Give me a couple of days. Or alternatively, I could just generate a part 2 in 5 minutes, which I'm sure would be just as engaging. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts down below on this one. It absolutely infuriates me that there are people like this who are... I feel like they're taking anything with any sort of degree of human creativity and just monetizing it as if there's no other factor that should be involved in the creative process. It's just about making this commodity and then just extracting as much money as possible.